This is the biggest terrain project that I've ever done, and many of you will know that that's saying a lot, but I am not alone. Welcome to the Minas Tirith COVID-19 community build. With isolations and lockdowns sweeping the world in 2020, I launched a huge project in my local community. Together, we would build a massive Minas Tirith layout in perfect 28mm scale. I've been releasing a series of tutorials and templates that have allowed members of the Aussie Middle-earth community to build walls, towers, and buildings in isolation, and then when we can safely hold our next big tournament, we'll bring all the pieces together for a massive 40-person battle with thousands of miniatures in celebration. But as I released the guides right here on Zorpazorp, the project took a life of its own. All over the world, people are following our example and running their own Minas Tirith community builds, or even more astonishingly, building and crafting amazing contributions and posting them down to me here in Australia to make our build even better. We already saw the amazing siege towns from Andy Marchant in the first of the Minas Tirith battle reports, and a few months back I received an incredible contribution from Charlie Moreno, who completely off his own dime sculpted these 4 phenomenal wall sections and posted them all the way down to Oz from the US of A. So thank you so much, Charlie. The city sector immediately beyond your walls will be forever named in your honor. So today we continue the last of our work on the outer ring wall with a very easy tutorial that will answer a simple question asked many times in the comments. Lockie, the Minas Tirith outer ring wall is round. Why are all of your pieces straight? Wedges. As this build is being designed to be easy for people of all skill, I decided from the outset that it needed to be achieved by a simple knife and by its sheer scale couldn't be overly complex. So straight walls were an absolute no-brainer. Now of course the walls of Minas Tirith are round, so today we'll be making some angled pieces that can be interspersed throughout your layout of the outer ring wall to approximate that curve. The great thing about this system is that the curvature isn't fixed, so if you guys at home want to make a Minas Tirith build that is smaller than my lofty designs, you can simply place more wedges into your outer ring wall and decrease the radius of the curvature. And just so you guys can more fully get a better sense of scale, when this thing's done, it's going to be pretty big. So, first up is to grab a sheet of 2-inch thick extruded polystyrene and cut some long strips 100mm wide. And for the first time, I can finally do this with a hot wire cutter, having picked up a Proxen. And furthermore, we come to another incredible contribution to our COVID-19 community project. GERARD from Shifting Lands is a huge Middle-earth fan and has built scores of Lord of the Rings and Gondor terrain himself over the years, and he sent me over this massive selection of cutting guides for the Proxen to help my quest to build Minas Tirith. The guide that comes with the Proxen is absolute hot garbage, and GERARD's MDF tools create a phenomenally stable cutting platform. So far, I've only assembled the Guider Pro 2.0, which makes cutting straight lines a breeze, but there's a whole bunch more, including angle guides and even tools that allow you to cut domes and roofs for Minas Tirith buildings. It's super cool stuff. I want to stress that this is in no way a sponsored video. GERARD just loved the project, is a huge Middle-earth fan, and wanted to support us, so he sent this all over to me for free. So if you have a hot wire cutter, go and check out his guides. They're amazing. You won't be disappointed. With the strips sliced out, I've marked up my wedges using the free template found in the description, cut them out, and then glued them together with some high-strength PVA and cocktail sticks. Now it's a simple matter of doing all the stonework just like we did in the early tutorials. I've set the width of the wedges to perfectly match the battlement and the stone spacing, so you'll fit just the right amount of bricks across the surface. Score them with your scalpel and pencil, create relief by changing the depth of the stones, and then texture them with alfoil. The final piece of the wedge is the battlements. Now, as I have a hot wire cutter, I'm going for something different this time. Instead of cutting a big strip of 2-inch poly into 4 thin strips and then cutting those into battlements, we are using the hot wire cutter to activate full speed mode. I have a strip that is 9 centimeters wide, perfect for the height of the battlements. I'm going to mark the shape out once onto the top face, and then slowly and carefully using the lowest heat setting, cut out the shape with my hot wire cutter. I had a couple of practice runs and got a set that was pretty decent looking, and it's not a big deal if they're not completely perfect, because by the time you've textured and weathered the stone, you can get away with some wonkier shapes. Then simply slice that strip long ways into 4, and you've got a whole bunch of battlements ready to go. Cut those down to size to match the wall, remembering to account for the angle you'll be beveling into the join, and then get to work doing the stonework. And then once those are attached, you'll have some wedges ready for paint. Now, I painted these up in the exact same scheme as I did the first pieces, which you can see in the stone painting masterclass linked above, and even when painting the 4 pieces from Charlie in the same lot as these 4 wedges, it was pretty remarkable how quickly I got them all done. I'm still not completely happy with the scheme. I'm not sure it's white enough, but I wanted looking weathered, and at times it verges a little bit on grey, so I might revisit all these pieces down the track and potentially blast them with an airbrush with a few passes of white highlights, but for the time being, these match the original stonework, and we'll get a good idea for how it really looks when it starts to come all together with the buildings behind the walls. So there we have the outer ring wall, which of my own sections is 2.5 meters long at this point, and when I add the contributions of local boys Sam Lucas and Ryan Trays, here in Oz, we're nearly up to 4 meters in length. So where to from here? Well, the walls in their final build are probably going to be about 12 to 15 meters long, and of course there's currently no stairways to get up and down from the walls, and let alone, the hundreds of buildings that we're going to need to populate the city, which we already have some amazing templates for due to another incredible community contribution from Albert Frival linked down in the description. But the big showpiece we're going to tackle next is the mighty gatehouse of Minas Tirith. Including the towers and surrounding walls at 28mm scale, this piece is going to be nearly 3 meters again in width and is going to use a lot of foam, so I think I'm going to need a lot more help to keep this build going. Maybe we can summon an army of fellow YouTubers to build little sections and suburbs and lend their might to the Minas Tirith community project. We'll have to wait and see. If you guys watching would love to get involved, even if you're not down here in Australia, we will welcome any contributions, and even though we're at the bottom of the world, at least foam is lightweight for postage. We have got such a build journey ahead of us, so any support is hugely appreciated. If terrain making isn't your thing, you can support me and thus the project by checking out my Patreon, linked in the description below, or you can even paint up a few minis like the fantastic work by Graham Hughes and Dirk Siepenkotter, who have sent down some beautiful Gandalf the White sculpts which are just awesome, and when Minas Tirith is completed, are going to star in some amazing battle reports. All the links to the free templates and the contact points for getting involved are down in the description below, and I will see you next time right here on Zorpazorp Gaming. Cheers, guys. This is stupid.